I want to show you how I turned these 3 clips into this. Now this one's a good one. I want to put a little disclaimer that I only use After Effects to edit in, but I want to share with you guys some tips and techniques that you can apply to any other editing software. I know a lot of you are probably Premiere Pro or Final Cut users, but I still think it is beneficial for you guys to see some of the back end that goes into making some of these scenes come together in the end. Before I go any further, I just quickly want to thank Storyblocks for sponsoring this video. You'll hear more about them later because I actually did end up using them for this Egypt project. I want to touch on some things that you can do while you're editing to stay in what I like to call the flow state. So I guess we should begin there. What is the flow state? The definition of flow state is being fully immersed mentally into a certain activity. Doing a set activity makes you forget about time and makes you genuinely enjoy what you're doing. When you can hit flow states in things like when you're filming, when you're editing, it means that you can be very efficient and come up with really creative ideas. And although this is an abstract idea, it's something that's mental. You can do a lot of things to make sure that your mind stays in tune when you're editing. And I want to touch on these things today. So let's jump on the computer and I'm going to show you guys my process even before I touch the editing software. So if we go into my selects, we'll see that I have my folders organized by location. And this is important because you can create sequences that are very interesting and interconnected. So I want to talk about the tuk-tuk sequence. This was a lot of fun because I didn't realize that I could make a sequence like this until I was in the editing process and I was going through my footage. So I came across this clip specifically, garage with a tuk-tuk and then backing out and panning to the left. It was actually the same color as the tuk-tuk that we were riding in. And that's where I made the connection between that shot and this shot here. A few more examples. I got night market. Everything from the night market is organized in this folder. I was able to create a sequence from that. The hot air balloon, for example. It's very quick and easy to work from sequence to sequence and make very easy connections between your footage. Staying focused while editing is honestly the hardest thing for me. I get distracted very easily. The main way I get distracted is usually when I'm saving, rendering, or like stabilizing something. I'll always, and it's like almost second nature, I'll grab my phone from my table and go to Instagram, and whatever you're doing usually takes 2 or 3 minutes and you realize that you're scrolling through Instagram looking for some meme and then you're 10 minutes deep, someone slapping someone else with cheese, and you're like, this is great, but 5 minutes every 30 minutes kind of adds up. So what I like to do sometimes is I'll either turn my phone off, turn my Wi-Fi off, or I'll use something like screen limit. I'm actually gonna do that right now. Screen time. That's a lot. To app limits and social networking and change your time limit to something like 5 minutes, and there you go. Jesus Christ. 2 hours. So next I want to talk about one of my favorite sequences to edit in the Egypt video. The base of the scene, or the background, is this 4-in-1 time lapse that I found on Storyblocks. So let's go in and look at this shot specifically. I'm gonna kind of break down some of the effects I use to make it look like this. That's literally the shot before, and then this was the after. So let's break it down. On top of this shot, I added the time lapse. I set the blending mode to pin light so it was kind of overlaid on top, and essentially what I did was didn't 3D track it, didn't 2D track it. I did it by hand, scaled it in roughly to eye. I used some keyframing positioning and kind of move it the same motion as the base shot. I knew that I wanted to luma key. It could be the easiest way for me to have this shot pop in. Added a duplicate layer of the base layer. And I did this so that I could properly luma key just the background so the time lapse was behind my footage. This is what it looks like. All this black is where the time lapse was put. The way I got this footage to look like this was if I take off everything. First, I color graded it and I wanted to really make it contrasty, punchy, really push the colors as much as possible. It meant that I could blow out the background. And this made it very easy for me to luma key instead of having to mask this entire thing by hand as it moved. Once I color graded this shot on top, I added what is called Color Matcher. If you don't have this plugin because it's a third-party plugin, you can use something like color correction levels. This shot needs to be a little bit more sunsetty, so I'll add more reds. And as you can see, this kind of looks the same as this. So once you have your colors kind of matching, this is when you can apply the Luma key. This is where most of the work is done for you. For the most part, it's all keyed out. But then I had the problem of trying to get these edges to look right. The green screen effects that come in Premiere Pro, Final Cut Pro, After Effects are really good. If you have something similar to Key Cleaner, it'll help clean up the edges a lot. I played with these settings and got something that I really liked. And then once I was done with that, I needed to fix the edges a little bit so it could match the scene. And I used something called Edge Blur that just blurs the edges and helps fix any mistakes that I made. This is the base layer. This is the pin light layer on top, and then this is the Luma keyed shot. So right now this looks pretty good, and what I wanted to do is add some finishing touches that made everything come together. So I added a anamorphic flare, and the final thing, like I said, was a glow. A glow on top of the entire scene to just make everything kind of feel more vibrant in the end. So I quickly want to take a few minutes to talk about the sponsor for this video, Storyblocks. Funny enough, I did end up using a B-roll clip of a sunset to match these 3 shots together that you saw at the beginning of this video. So whether you need B-roll, After Effects templates, motion backgrounds, Storyblocks got you covered. The cool thing is you can download as many as you want at a low cost, so you can test them for your projects. I find myself sometimes realizing that I don't have the budget for something, and I can always go to Storyblocks to find a time-lapse or hyperlapse, something that I need very quickly and is super high quality. I can't recommend them enough. If you're interested, click the link in the description below, or you can go to storyblocks.com/JRAlli and sign up today. So, yep. And the last thing I want to talk about is the importance of the first 25 seconds of your video. For my Egypt video, for example, I wanted something that would catch their attention very early, but not give too much away. And so I had this idea of me falling and landing in Egypt. That being a very interesting way to start my Egypt travel film. So I think if you take some time to think about how you can catch the viewer's attention, it'll help a lot, especially with keeping the person watching in tuned throughout the entire video. So that's pretty much it. I hope you could take something from this. I wanted to break down some of the effects from my videos. For me, I understand that everyone's creative process is different, and a lot of the times, maybe you watching could take something from my creative process and use it in your own. If you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'm hoping to drop a lot more short films this year. I want to work on some very, very big projects. So that's pretty much it. I'll catch you guys in the next video, and peace.
Oh, right, before I go, I need to share with you a story about how we almost got stuck in the middle of the desert during a sandstorm in the middle of the night. Roll a clip.
So basically the Jeep is stuck in the middle of the night. It's like 2 a.m. We don't really know what we're gonna do yet.
Alright, let's go out.
We're rocking again?
Yeah, let's go.
There's that light over there.
I told you there are ways.
I don't feel like I'm gonna die anymore.